friends yet? All right, we're gonna go ahead and proceed to get started with this pranayama practice. There may be folks that join and I'll scuttle over to the computer and admit them. But you might wanna get whatever you need to be cozy. You could totally do this practice lying in a bed. You could do it sitting up. You might find that back support feels good and lean against a wall. I'm gonna sit on the edge of this sort of floor couch of my house here and let my legs hang off. But we'll do a little bit of moving. Most of it will be low to the ground today, a little bit of wiggling around throughout this practice. So if that's sort of a new context, let that be true. As we get set up here, it can be helpful to also have around you what you might want for resting at the end. Just like any practice, I often suggest that we take time to integrate at the end. You might decide that you need a blanket or a pillow or just to sort of prep the area that you're going to rest in. And once you have done that work, um, find a nice tall seat. And again, sitting is the suggestion, but it's not a requirement. You are always welcome to make a different choice, as it were. And I think most of you have practiced with me recently, but just a reminder that this is like my house. So occasionally a dinosaur-sized dog will walk across the shot, and there's often a sort of dog creature hanging around. And I'll just always be real about that truth. Hopefully it's mostly just a comforting mammal sleeping somewhere as opposed to anything distracting. But if you do hear an unusual noise or anything like that, it may just be something in my space that's causing it. All right. I wanted to bring out a book since I'm home here with my home library. This book, some of you may be familiar with it, some of you may not. I think you can see it maybe. The Hatha Yoga Pradipika. This translation is one of the ones that's most widely published. And to a degree, it's sort of a little bit of the Sivananda lineage. And I like the book because it breaks down each sort of sloka, each little verse of this classical text, and it tries to interpret it or give you some kind of context as to how the practice might go. And the Hatha Yoga Pradipika is interesting. Pradipika is really a bringing of light or a light source. It's another brightening or illuminating word. And Hatha is often translated as the yoga of duality of sun and moon, Ha and Tha. But it also can be translated as the yoga of force or effort in the body. And so this, along with this other book called the Garanda Samhita and a few other books that likely don't exist anymore, just went underground or disappeared, outline the ways to do these physical practices that were all based in Tantra. And a lot of the pranayama practice that I offer is based in this lineage and in this book, and also in the interpretations of B.K.S. Iyengar, of Sri Krishnamacharya, etc., so on, of these breathing practices. So if you're ever curious, there is sort of an older point of view to some of this context. And most of the time, I think what we find is the practical tool of pranayama has become more utilized. When I say pranayama, you might think of prana as the vital energy of the body. You might think of it as the breath, literally. Some teachers translate it that way. And yama means to control or restrain or manipulate. And in front of it means to reverse that. So to unmanipulate or uncontrol. So we're trying to free the breath. And sometimes we have to make decisions. We have to decide to do things with the breath to make that occur. But pranayama is not just breathing exercises, at least as far as it's outlined in the Hatha Yoga Pradipika. We do tantric gazing, we do kriya, we do asana, and all of these might be sort of thought of as energy contexts in the first place. So first and foremost, we work with the nervous system in the body. And whenever we're working with the nervous system, know that your nervous system is particular. Any map that I might give is just a map. It's not necessarily the truth about your nervous system. It's more of a ratio of most people are like this, as it were. So if you find that what I'm saying doesn't make sense for you, that might be valid and true. So you're always welcome to do something else. You're always welcome to rest instead or to return to conscious breathing. It's one of the practices we'll begin with. instead of doing any other breathing exercise. But in general, know that you want to ride the horse, as it were. You want to be steering the car of your breathing exercise. If it feels like something is running wild without you, then you might back off a little bit. Even if I'm offering it in a different way, I really encourage you in that direction. As we think about doing this practice as a means of resiliency, we're toning our vagal response, toning our response to stress. We might allow ourselves to have very small pressures in the practice to tone against, as it were. Without pressure, the body, the mind, the self has difficulty forming its way through this samsara, through this experience of life in this body in this lifetime. And in fact, the body is created by these external pressures over and over again. What is used stays. And so as we create new pathways, know that they are new. You don't need to force them. It doesn't need to be a huge effort or action, but you might slowly start to notice where the edges of things are. And remember that you create the universe of yourself. So you discern where the edge is. My suggestion is always to stay on the kinder side of things, keep things softer or gentler. And again, a reminder, I'm filming this class so that I can make it available to those who this time might not be available for. So if you know you don't want to be seen, and none of you are right now, just make sure you keep your screen blank, as it were, and your screen muted unless you need something. Give me a holler. All right. Let's get started. I like to begin by uniting with 3 rounds of the seed sound of Om. So you might shift your seat a little bit. You can always sit cross-legged. You're welcome to sit with legs folded underneath. And we'll shift throughout the practice. You can adjust your seat anytime you'd like. Close the eyes or gaze down at one spot on the earth in front of you and let your hands find a relative neutral place to rest. If oming or chanting isn't for you, always feel free to sit with us in presence instead. Otherwise, know that Om is the sound of the universe. We utilize vibration to bring ourselves towards the same metaphysical space, as it were, acknowledging that we have efficacy in that network of universality, that we are a part of the universal. To clear and prepare the energetic channel, take an inhale in through your nose. And open mouth, exhale, HA. Inhale, prepare for Om. Take a long inhale in and a slow exhale out. And as you relax your hands into relative neutral, again with eyes closed or perhaps with downcast gaze, we'll begin to take conscious breathing. And conscious breathing is really simple in context, but I think difficult in practice, is to let your breath be organic and neutral, simply to observe it as it happens. Watch it as it draws in and as it falls out. Watch it as it rises and it falls. Observe the sensations perhaps as the air enters your nostrils, moves through the sinuses and throat and draws down into the rib cage, maybe the pressure of the breath down into the belly. And observe the breath similarly as it falls back up and out in the opposite direction it took to get in there. And the challenge is often not to manipulate the breath as you observe it, not to get involved in speeding it up or creating rhythm for it or creating depth. In fact, trying to watch it be as it actually is without manipulation. You might seed the breath with bija, with context, with intention. You might take the most simple intention to start, which is as you breathe in, think, now I am breathing in. And as you breathe out in the eye of your mind, think, now I am breathing out. Or simply in and out. Or inhale and exhale. If you'd like to add a little layer of spell work. You might think as you inhale the sound in the eye of your mind, so, or SO. And as you exhale in the eye of your mind, hum. So hum, I am that. An old mantra you can repeat in the eye of your mind. And we'll continue this practice. I'll often make suggestions along the way. I'll manage us as we change from exercise to exercise. But if you get lost in reverie, come back again to the practice. A lot of it is just that. And try to stay as relaxed as you can. Notice if you create tension to create action. It's a pretty normal coping mechanism of mammals of our time. And come back to balancing structure with ease. If you feel like you start to slump and need to rearrange. And try to keep it on the gentle side of things. Continue this practice of softening the body and take a conscious breathing until I ask you to change or ask you to stop. Notice when you drift, when your awareness draws out to another thing or a list of other things or one pervasive, obsessive thing that you're aware of in your mind, or when literal distraction happens in the space around you. Use it as an element of friction to practice against. Distraction gives you the opportunity to draw back towards awareness, towards focus, without fighting. Usher yourself kindly back to the awareness of your inhale and your exhale as it is. And again, notice the body. Where have any tension patterns crept in? And where can you allow more softness and ease to occur? Where do you need to apply awareness so that you have structure for ease to emerge? And wherever you are in the cycle of your breath, exhale or remain at empty. Take a slow inhale in through your nose. And open mouth exhale, HA. Cool again. Inhale in through your nose slowly. Open mouth, exhale, HA. Ujjayi. Breathe in through your nose, slowly snoring. Ujjayi. Sigh out through your nose, slowly sighing. And begin to breathe in the Ujjayi form. Breathing purposely slow and long, smooth and deep. Classically in and out through the nose. Creating a whisper in the base of the throat or in the sinuses. And you're welcome to breathe out through the mouth if you need to. Preparatory breaths include the SH sound, sh, or the S sound, s, or the HA sound instead. You can even filter those in throughout. And do a little work towards Samavriti in the Ujjayi Pranayama. Ujjayi means upward liberating or victorious breath, sometimes translated as psychic breath. And you might breathe Sama means same and Vritti fluctuating. Try to make your inhales as long as your exhales and vice versa. Make them both long and complete without fighting. Continue the practice of Ujjayi Pranayama until I ask you to change or ask you to stop. And try to keep an affect of softness, especially in the areas where you tend to hold tightness, like the shoulders, neck, and jaw. How can you balance the effort of breathing on purpose with the obstacle of wanting to keep things light and of ease? And here in Ujjayi Pranayama, you might consider a continuation of seeding the breath, inhaling, I breathe in, exhaling, now I'm breathing out, inhaling so, exhaling hum. Your next exhale, remain at empty. And follow with a long, slow inhale in through your nose. Open mouth, exhale, HA. Inhale in through your nose. HA. To exhale. Ujjayi in through your nose, snoring. Ujjayi out through your nose, sighing. And flutter the eyes open. And if you're sitting, you might start to take your legs out long in front and maybe turn your legs in and out or roll your ankles a few times. You might shift from side to side, do a little shoulder rolling, a little kind neck address. And then we're going to do a little work into Ujjayi Pranayama and changing the shape of the body to feel the breath. So the suggestion is to begin, we'll do both knees, but bending your right knee and planting your foot. And if you need to sit up higher on something, do, or if you need to even sit up on a chair and put your foot on a stack of books, that's always okay. And then hug around. You know, your hug might be a little further back depending on the shape of your body where your flesh meets itself, or trying to bring the belly or the ribs to rest on the leg. Once you've found a way where you feel like you've made relative contact, relax your jaw and try to drop your shoulders down. Let the garland of your arms do its work, wherever that might be. You're always welcome to use a strap also if you need one, or grab a freehand sock or scarf. Close the eyes and gaze down or look at one spot on the earth in front of you. You might leave your eyes a little bit open, like 1/8 of the way, if you know you need some visual light and acuity for brightness. And then exhale the air you have in your body, get empty. Take a long inhale in through the nose. Open mouth, exhale, HA. Inhale, Ujjayi in through your nostrils. Exhale, Ujjayi out through your nose. And continuing to breathe in the Ujjayi form in and out through your nose. And as you breathe in this way, you might seed your breath with Bija, I am, Soham, in, out. And really the ask is to notice the sensation of breathing. You might feel restriction on the inhales as your body meets your leg on the right side. Maybe more breath moves into the back seam. Continue this exercise until I ask you to change or stop. And if you need to, you're always welcome to do it on your back. And slowly, as you continue to breathe in Ujjayi form, we'll switch sides. You might take a moment with both legs out long just to notice how it feels again to move towards neutral. And when you're ready, bending the opposite knee, left knee, if you're sticking with me to hug it in. And it can be wide, right? It doesn't have to be right in front. You can hug around it and feel out how it might be different. Leaning forward into your leg can help, and you might need to turn the other leg out or bend your knee if it's more comfortable for you. It doesn't need to be hamstring-esque purgatory for anybody. Let your body have space as much as possible. And then continue to breathe in Ujjayi form. If you've fallen out, slow inhale in through your nose. Slow exhale out through the nose. Continue to breathe up and down the elevator of your spine, in and out through your nose or mouth. Ujjayi Pranayama, as soft as you can be in your affect, until I ask you to change or ask you to stop. And as you continue to breathe and feel in this exercise, know that in most bodies we set off parasympathetic nervous system or vagal calming, right? Our rest and digest response by compressing the front of the body. It's why it feels comforting to lay on your belly. My babies move towards that shape. Why that pressure on the front of your body feels good with a anxiety blanket, etc. So on. Now we're trying to create a little bit of that sense of self-hugging, of self-touch, especially if you aren't getting the opportunity to receive touch right now from others. It's really important to give yourself that sort of self-pressure, that self-advocacy in that way. Continue to breathe in the Ujjayi form and notice. And remember, resistance to self-love is normal, right? I have to say, if you get in there and it's like when mom hugs you and you say, "Ah, mom, stop," right? That feeling, but turned up, that volume high is normal, right? It's hard to receive even from ourselves. You're allowed to sit with that sensation too. A few more rounds of Ujjayi breath on this side. And slowly begin to release your leg out long. And I'm going to offer just a little bit of twisting. You might turn to the right. You can bend your knees and give yourself a little bit of something to press against for a couple of breaths. And then turn to the left the opposite way. And you might bring your hands behind you and lift your heart up for a moment. And then we're going to bring both legs into the chest and put the feet on the ground and hug the legs around. I'm going to keep my head upright, but my suggestion to you is to do this. Bring your forehead down onto your knees if it doesn't feel claustrophobic. And again, you can take your legs longer if you need to. It doesn't have to be super close in. Trying to find a place where you can start to rest your body towards your legs. And if that doesn't work out, you can also place a bolster or a pillow in between to create contact for yourself if you'd like it. Rounding and removing contact of belly to thighs is also an option. You're hanging your head, begin to hang your head, and I'll guide us into Ujjayi Pranayama once more. Exhale the air you have in your body. And take a long, slow inhale in through your nose. Open mouth, exhale, HA. Breathe in through your nose, snoring. Out through your nose, sighing. And continue to breathe in the Ujjayi form, filling the back of your body and noticing what it's like to self-cocoon, to come into contact with yourself. For some of us, this will be the opposite, right? It will cause a little desire to vagal tone. Our fight and flight response might turn on, and then we'll have to ask ourselves to practice relaxing and releasing that de-stress tolerance. And again, you only want to meet it where you still are definitely going to win the tug of war towards softness and ease. And it's like going to the gym. If you wanted to train your bicep muscle, you would pick the barbell that was the appropriate size for you. You might pick a challenge occasionally, but in this circumstance, you want to start with the lowest possible gauge and build tolerance there before moving upward to more pressure or friction. About 5 more long, slow rounds of Ujjayi breath here. And slowly, over the course of the next few breaths, let yourself curl up out of this hunched over shape. Drag your head up. And again, you can take your legs out long. You might manually roll your thigh bones in and out, or roll your ankles, or again, take the hands behind you and lift your heart up. You're going to continue this exercise in a couple of different shapes, and we'll move a little into Morcha breathing. Before we do that, I just want to talk about Morcha. Morcha is the sort of gasping, fainting breath, is how it's often translated. I don't love that translation necessarily. We're not trying to faint, but we will hold the breath, and we'll do Ujjayi Pranayama, or sort of regulation breath, regulatory breathing. And then you'll take a big deep inhale at a certain point and you'll hold it. You'll hold it as long as you can without fighting, without creating trauma. And when it's time to let it go, you'll exhale it. And then you'll go back to Ujjayi breath until you feel like your heartbeat is relatively regulated again. And you'll take another big deep breath in the Morcha form. We'll continue in that way until I ask you to change or stop. And we'll work into a little side bending. So you might stay in a seat and cross your ankles and just lean over. If you know you need support, feel free to grab a nearby table or pillow and lean on it. We're trying to create a little side body bending. I like to take the opposite arm and just drape it behind, letting the side body lengthen. You might even lean over onto a chair if you'd like a little bit more height. And you can hang the head. Some of you will use the hand to create a little bit of hold, like you're listening in conversation. Relax the neck to dangle perhaps instead. And you can always turn the chin more up or more down. Start to breathe in the Ujjayi form in and out of your nose. And sighing and snoring. You feel like you've got a relative rhythm going of that prana, of that breath of awareness. Take a big deep inhale in the Morcha form and hold it. And exhaling when the time is right. And returning to Ujjayi breath. And to self-regulate. And anytime you're holding the breath, let that breath holding be as soft and easy as you can. You don't have to fill all the way up to a point where you feel like your chest or throat need to be tight. Let things still stay on the gentle side of things. You might think of it less of a breath holding, more of a breath floating or pausing of the breath, like inhaling just got full and there was just no more room. Continue this practice until I ask you to change or ask you to stop. As you continue this practice of Morcha breath with Ujjayi Pranayama, notice how the left side of your body feels, how your spine and hips feel. Notice how the breath coming in and out might affect those tidal sensations. Little by slowly, perhaps dragging the head, let yourself roll back up towards center. You might continue this practice of Ujjayi Pranayama and Morcha breath at center for a moment or two. You feel relatively neutral. Head into side bending on the opposite side. You might move your lift over the other way. Let yourself lean over. Again, you might utilize your arm. You're always welcome to do something different with your legs. We're mostly just trying to create a little side body bending. Sometimes even a higher lift is required. Things can be different from side to side for sure. You might drape your opposite arm behind just so it has something to hang on. And when you're ready, begin your practice of Ujjayi if it's fallen away. You're always welcome to hang the head, especially if that's what you did on the opposite side. Perhaps breathing with intention into your right back, your right rib cage, your right side lung. And when you're ready, practice the Morcha Pranayama, the holding of breath at full, for as long as you can, and releasing it always without fighting. As you continue this practice, you might continue to seed your breath. So I am. It's really the most revolutionary idea of all, a proclamation of self, the self identity in the individual unit, and the identity of the self as a microcosm of all that is connected, of all that is from the universal or cosmic form. I am that. I am the universe. I am kindness. I am truth. Little by slowly, perhaps dragging the head, begin to upright yourself back towards center and continue your practice of Ujjayi and Morcha at center, letting the body come back towards neutral for a moment or so. And as you breathe in Ujjayi form, we're going to do a little wiggle to move out anything that might have come up. After wiggling, we'll settle down into resting and do a little breathing to settle down. But we're going to take what's sometimes referred to as Sufi circles. We're orbiting around the center of the body. Start with your rib cage, inhaling to the right and forward, and exhaling back. And you can let yourself rock from side to side on your seat, but keep breathing in the Ujjayi form as you go. We're really doing the same breathing exercise of Ujjayi Pranayama with some held breath, but I'm going to guide when we hold the breath now. And start to move it more upward into your rib cage if you can. Circling the body. And go just as slow or as fast as your breath dictates. And from the rib cage, start to switch directions of your orbit. And let it move down into the pelvis, orbiting left and forward, perhaps right and back, changing directions. The next time you breathe forward, pause and hold the breath at full. And exhale, continue making circles. Ujjayi form. You can let the head be involved or keep it upright. And the next time you exhale to round your spine back, let that exhale get empty and pause there and take an inhale through your nose into the back of your body and hold it. And exhale, continue your practice of circling and breathing in the Ujjayi form. And as your orbits get smaller until you can come to center. Take your arms out and bring your fingertips to your shoulders with your elbows up. You can have elbows lower if it feels like a lot. Staying upright is supposed to spring your rib cage a little bit more, but always be kind with your placement. And we're going to inhale and exhale in opposite directions. So you'll inhale to turn to the left and exhale to the right. So inhale and exhale, twisting from center. Ujjayi Pranayama. So you can start slow. You can remain slow. Or you can get quicker over time in a kind way. Keep it up for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. On your next available inhale, take your arms out. You can take them to a wide V. You're welcome to close the palms, thumbs up. Hold your breath. And exhale slow. Let your arms come down. Continue to breathe in the Ujjayi form. Notice any tingling in the face or the hands and relax your shoulders. Good. Last little Kriya before resting. A couple of ways to do it. You might do it with your hands on your head and move your elbows forward and back. You might do it with your arms up overhead, interweave the fingers, or you can grab a strap overhead. You won't be able to quite see me the whole time. If you're super open in the shoulders, you're welcome to interweave the fingers and release the index. We're doing a like cow-cat in the spine and inhaling and exhaling with it. Go slow, and remember, you're always welcome to stop at center or release the arms by the sides and breathe. We won't do it for super long. We'll hold at the end. Take an inhale in to prepare in either position that you've chosen. And open mouth, exhale, HA. Inhale in through the nose. Like a lion, stick out your tongue, HA. Ujjayi, prepare in through your nose. Ujjayi out through your nose. And you're following Ujjayi, inhale. Lift your ribs up, maybe lift your gaze up. And exhale, round forward. Ujjayi form. Inhale. Open, exhale, closed. And continue. Only do about 10 more rounds. Next time you inhale, hold the breath suspended at that open position. You might gather your navel back and the floor of your pelvis up. Relax your shoulders and jaw. Slow exhale, release the arms. To rest down. And take a moment if you need to wiggle or move, feel free to. Otherwise, try to let yourself be. And we'll set up next for resting. So if you'd like to remain in a seat, do. I'm not going to lie down because every dog in my household is now in the place that I would lie down. But you feel free to lie down and rest. As you lie down, if you'd like, you can use a breath to soothe yourself once you've created resting position. You can rest on your back, your sides, your belly, in a cozy couch, in a chair. You can rest with your legs up the wall if you like, or with a bolster or pillow behind your knees. You can cozy up into a blanket. I'm going to offer a non-nostril manipulated form of the Nadi Shodhana. You can also choose to do this as a Chandra Vedanta, meaning you just move through the lunar channel if you'd like extra calming energy. The inhale for Nadi Shodhana, you'll breathe in through your left nostril and out through your right, and then in through your right and out through your left. And of course, you won't touch your nose, so some air will come in and out of each one, but you'll focus your energy or your awareness on the air moving out and in. You might also use your hands, holding your right hand open as you inhale in from your right nostril, letting both hands softly close and opening the left hand as you exhale. I suggest that you do this 12 times, counting down from 12 to 1, 12 breaths or 12 rounds, inhaling through the right, exhaling through the left, and vice versa if you wish. If you feel ready for resting right away, you're welcome to let that go, or maybe just take a few of them until you feel like your breath has settled down into neutral and doesn't need to be manipulated anymore. It's about 7:10 now. We'll rest for about 5 minutes. I'll call you up and out with a long ringing of the Tibetan singing bowl that's here. It won't be super long because this is sort of our test ring of the bowl with our audio system. But you'll hear sound to draw you back, and I'll use words to draw you back. So once you've eased off into rest, if you know you don't want to return, it's okay just to let yourself rest, or it's okay now to choose to mute the sound on your screen or to turn off your computer and rest down and let that be how you ease out of this practice. Otherwise, I'll call us out to finish together in a few minutes. If you're doing the Nadi Shodhana to guide yourself down, whenever you do reach that bottom exhale, try to let your breath go, let the breath become unmanipulated, so you can just observe how things really are with you. You can observe your actual state of being. Give yourself credit. It's always courageous, brave, and powerful to turn towards how things really are, especially if you really are sensitive and aware, especially if things are not of ease at this time for any righteous or very real reason. Continue to practice paying attention to how things are until I ring the Tibetan singing bowl. Little by slowly begin to return your awareness to your felt sense in your body. Go down and into your breath, and gently, little by slowly, if you are returning now, begin to return by asking the breath to deepen. If you're continuing to rest, allow yourself to do so as long as you'd like. Otherwise, let the breath deepen slowly, very gently, exponentially, just enough to bring yourself back to waking awareness. And as you do, you can add kind intuitive movement, especially if you're resting in your back. You might wiggle your fingers or your toes. You might stretch out or up or gently nod your head or scrunch your face or stick out your tongue or roll it around your teeth. You can roll onto your favorite side if you're on your back and pause in the side body for a moment with your head curled in. And you're welcome to use your top hand to press yourself up towards a nice tall seat. Been finishing this practice in the last couple of months with the Sahana Vavatu chant. I'm going to offer it here in canon, which means I'll sing each line twice. And the idea is the second line, you might join me. If you know it, feel free to do it both times. The overarching meaning of this chant is, may we together as a community of learners, may we together be protected, may we together know joy, may our work together for the betterment of all be brilliant, may we not fight or dispute with one another, and may our work together bring us towards universal peace. If you'd like to join, it starts with an Om and ends with an Om. You might Om with me at the beginning, and then I'll go into call and response. You're welcome to just Om at the beginning and end and listen, or to, turn it off if chanting isn't for you. Always okay. To begin, exhale the air you have in your body. Take an inhale through your nose. Open mouth, exhale, HA. Inhale, prepare for Om and chanting. Sahana Navatu, Sahana Vavatu, Sahano Bunaktu, Sahano Bunaktu, Sahaviryam, Sahaviryam, Karavavahai, Karavavahai, Tejas Dinavadi Tamastu, Tejas Dinavadi Tamastu, Mavit Vashavahai, Mavit Vashavahai, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. If you'd like, you can bring your hands together at heart center, acknowledging this connection between things that disparate. May we together know peace. May we together be brilliant. May we together be protected. Right, our fates are intrinsically linked together. And even as we often spend time apart, remembering togetherness is the offering of prana, is the offering of self-awareness and sovereignty, of agency and healing. Thank you for your time, your energy, your effort. I acknowledge and salute it by bringing thumb to third eye and bowing. You're welcome to bow to yourself, seal in your practice. Thank you. If you're still around, I'm going to pause recording. So if you want to unmute and say hi, or if you have any questions, you're welcome to.